I used to spend more than 10 hours per week commuting to my full-time job, and this is how an electric scooter helped me cut it down to just 40 minutes per day. You're in public transport, you're holding onto your life with your right hand, you're holding a book in the left hand, you're trying to read because you told yourself you're going to make use of this time, and then the tram makes an emergency stop, and a sweaty guy falls down on you, you're falling down on a pregnant woman, she falls down, you think she's going to die, and then everyone looks at you thinking you have committed a crime for not holding onto your life with both hands. And then baby starts crying, and then angels come from heaven, give you a letter, and you read it and it says you are banned from heaven forever, and all you wanted to do was just to make use of your commute time. This happened to me and I told myself, not anymore. So I sat down, I analyzed my commute time, and I was like, okay, how can I make this better? And I came to the conclusion that actually an e-scooter, even though some say not a very healthy solution, you should go for a bike. I had a bike for a year, I didn't use it then bike. So an e-scooter is actually a better solution. So in this video I'll tell you 3 things. First, how an e-scooter saved me time, and how you can calculate how much time it would save you. Second, which scooter to choose. I'll share with you my research to help you understand what specs to look at. And third, I'll give you a list of accessories you will need to be prepared for any weather conditions. Before I start the video, a quick caveat. This video is for someone living in the city. If you are living in a suburb somewhere in the US, I feel you. So how does it save me so much time? Well, first, before even beginning to decide what do I buy or change about my commute, first you got to analyze it. How much time does it take me to commute to work using public transport? And I found out, even though Google Maps tells me that it's 30 minutes, I actually ended up spending most of the times 40 to 50 minutes. The reason why is that Google Maps doesn't count waiting time. And on my way to work, I need to switch one time between 2 different trams. So I am waiting for the first tram, which could take 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm waiting for the second tram. Another point you need to count is accidents. Someone parked the wrong way, something happened on the line, there's a demonstration going on, a water leak, whatever, it happens, and it costs you time. If you're going by car, how much time does it take you being stuck in traffic? And more often than not, it's much more than you expect. Take a timer, when you leave home, just start it, and when you get to work, stop it. And look at this timer, it will be way higher than you expected. And then do it for a few days, and you will see that on average it takes you actually like 30-50% more time to get to work. That's step 1. Realize how much time does it actually take you to get to work. Second step would be to calculate how much time would you save if you made any adjustments to your commute. And there are 2 types of adjustments you could make. The first one is you go the full length with an e-scooter. And the second one, you use an e-scooter for some parts of your commute and use a train or metro for the main lengths. And this is an advantage, by the way, that an e-scooter has compared to a bicycle, because usually the bicycle is not very welcomed on buses or trams. It happened to me with a bicycle one time. I took a bicycle to a tram, then the tram driver stopped, went out, came to me and said, "Get out!" So everyone was waiting for him. It was super awkward. And I was like, okay. Like my tire was flat. I was like, I'm sorry. So if you have an e-scooter of this size, no one will complain that you are taking it to a tram or a bus. So yeah, 2 adjustments you can make are you either go the full length or you go part of the length. So how do you find the most efficient way for you to commute? So what I did, I just went on Google Maps and I opened the bike tab. And in there, it already gives you a pretty good estimation of how much an average bicycle driver would take to go from point A to point B. There are better apps for taking into account bicycle infrastructure, but in Google Maps, the cool feature is that you can drop a little human and you can actually see, okay, this is how the street looks. Do I feel safe driving here? Do I not feel safe driving here? Keep into account though that e-scooters usually they go up to 25 kilometers per hour, and this is like, trust me, this is faster than you would go by bicycle, like unless you are a professional athlete, because they accelerate much faster. And in the city where you often need to stop for traffic lights, for pedestrians to letting them walk, this is essential. this increases your average speed like a lot. I did calculate my average speed with a bicycle and was about 14.5 kilometers per hour, even though I can, like on my trips, I go 25 easily. And then I calculated my average speed with an e-scooter and it was like 20.1 or something, which is this percentage of an increase. So yeah, keep in mind, with an e-scooter you will be faster. Also, you can save time on avoiding traffic lights. Many cities, especially in Europe, allow bicycles to go against the traffic on quiet routes. What I would do, I would drop this little human in Google Maps and follow the route and see, okay, where are potential problems here? And then look at the parallel streets. Can I go there maybe? Maybe it's a better option. And then for the second type of adjustment, if your route is more than 10 kilometers, more than 15 kilometers, yeah, I wouldn't want to go that by bike either. That's not very optimal and takes a lot of time. What I would do is open up your street metro plan and have a look at it. Maybe there is like one metro line which would take you about like 20-30 minutes by walk to get to. But it would connect you to the work direct. And this is crucial for us because remember, we don't care about the 30-minute walk. We can cut it down to 5 minutes with an e-scooter. So for example, if your regular commute would require you to switch 1 or 2 times, you can save a lot of time by just using one metro line and getting to the metro station with an e-scooter. And then as a cherry on top, it also saves me time, for example, during lunch break, when I want to go to the supermarket to buy something. Usually it takes me like 7 minutes to walk. I can cut it down to like 1.5 minutes with an e-scooter, even 1 minute. But also on the weekends. Last weekend, for example, I had a meeting with a client and then right after it, I was meeting friends. So I just used an e-scooter to get to the meeting with the client, then from the meeting to the metro station, with metro, just one line, close to where this bar was, where we were meeting, and then from the metro station to the bar. Like with an e-scooter, that's another advantage. Especially in Austria, if you come with a bicycle, they like park it outside. If you come with an e-scooter, even into fancy places, right? If your e-scooter is not like super dirty or something, they're fine with it. Like they don't tell you to get out, right? They also understand you wouldn't leave it outside. If they tell you to do so, you wouldn't be able to stay at this place, right? So yeah, on this day I was able to squeeze in a meeting with a client right before meeting with friends, and if I didn't have an e-scooter, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would need to plan like 1 extra hour for a commute. Now let's talk about specifications and which scooter to choose. There are 4 main things to look at. There is price, there is power, there is range and weight. Let's talk about price. Let's just skip all the garbage there, so let's go straight to $300-$350, right? $300 to $500 is kind of the beginner range for scooters. Mine costs 320 euros, so that's $340 plus taxes, and it's perfectly fine. If you have a bigger budget, 500 to 800 is kind of the range where most of the pro scooters are, and 800 to 1200 is kind of the reasonable premium. The power of my scooter is 300 watt, and really for our cases, when we just want to save time on our commute, that's perfectly fine. And on my way to work I do have a little hill that I need to cross, and on this hill it is noticeable that the scooter starts to go slower. So if on a flat surface I would go 25 kilometers per hour, this hill the scooter will go like 18, 19. But that's fine, like our average speed is 20 kilometers anyway, and if I go for a bit of the distance, 18 kilometers per hour is perfectly fine. Now if your city is not as flat, I would say 300 probably wouldn't be enough for you. If you can get to like 400, 600 would be perfect. And this leads me to the next point, which is range. I would go for sure for double the distance that you need. For example, it takes me 4.5 kilometers to get to work and 4.5 back. So instead of looking for scooters for like 10-15 kilometers, forget about that. I went for 20 kilometer range scooter, and it can realistically do 13 in my conditions, because I always drive in sport mode. It's winter right now, this affects the battery too. And then they always test the range in perfect conditions on like a flat ground, and you're not driving only on flat ground. And then whenever you have to stop, this loses energy too. So if you will go for double the distance that you actually need, you are safe here. And this leads me to the next point, which is weight. My scooter is a light version. I specifically chosen it because I don't have a lift and I don't want to carry too much weight. And it's 15.5 kilograms. Pro version of the scooter is a little bit heavier, it's 17 kilograms. And that would probably still be fine. But I would not recommend going over 20 kilograms. Because then, if you cannot really handle this weight, it starts being clunky, and when we will meet an obstacle on the way, it will be a headache to carry the scooter, for example, up the stairs. Now, you can fix weight with money. If you have a higher budget, you can go for a scooter which has the same power or even more and has less weight. For example, here's a comparison of my Xiaomi scooter against a micro scooter, or micro, I don't know how you pronounce it, which is actually the scooters that I wanted to buy, but look at that price tag. Now let's talk about other things that are also important. Water resistance. You don't want to have a scooter that will stop working from one droplet of water. Well, my scooter has an IP54 rating. It's resistance against water splashes, which means that if I drop it in a river, it will definitely stop working. But in my experience, driving it in rain is not a big deal.
Leo from the future here. So Xiaomi actually doesn't recommend driving in rain, so just keep in mind, you can do it, it's most probably going to be fine, but you are increasing the risk of damaging the scooter. Back to the video.
I have driven in rain multiple times and I had no issues with it. Sure, don't go for long trips in a heavy rain, this will probably be risky. But if it's like a normal rain and you are on your 20-minute commute, that should be fine. The only thing I have done, I bought this type of cover that you kind of put on the little display on the scooter, just so the display doesn't get soaked. And also, whenever I see puddles, I avoid them. I never drive through them. If there's like a big puddle, I cannot avoid it, then I kind of slow down and go very slowly through it so there are no splashes going into the battery. Now let's talk about brakes, because brakes are not created equal. Some scooters will have only this type of like engine braking when you recover energy. This is what Tesla is using, for example. But the problem with this is, if you're going 25 km per hour and need to brake quickly, this will not do the job. I had another scooter of a similar like power to weight ratio, and it didn't have normal brakes. It was always for me an issue. I was like extra careful because I knew that I cannot really brake that quickly. So I would definitely recommend that you don't go for those scooters that don't have normal type of braking. And then also you need to make sure that it can actually carry your weight. Most scooters can carry 100 kilograms. If you need more, go for 120 kilograms, go for something more powerful. My weight is 85 kilograms and I'm fine with using a scooter that is designed for maximum 100. If I would be 95, probably that would be a little bit of an issue because you have a backpack on, etc. The reason to avoid being very close to a maximum weight limit is actually the power. It will be just slower. So if you're approaching the 100 kilograms, better go for a more powerful scooter and pay the extra $100. It will be worth it. So my choice, I showed you already, it says Xiaomi, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, e-scooter 4 Lite. The reason I went for a light version is, well, it's a bit cheaper, but also because we don't have a lift in our apartment house and it's just easier to carry for me. If you have the budget, I would go for Xiaomi 4 Pro. This is a comparison of their stats. It's not that much heavier, but has more power and more range. Now other options are also out there. Here are some that are worth mentioning. What I would say is go for something that's popular in your country. That's the reason I went for Xiaomi, because stuff will break. Sure, you can order this cool scooter from another continent which is not directly sold here, but if something breaks, how are you going to repair it? With a scooter that is popular in your country, you can just go on Amazon, order parts, do it yourself. Or even if you're going to a bike shop or like a mechanic, it will be half the price and half the time repairing. Okay, so our main goal is saving time and our main enemy is weather. Here's a list of things you will need for rainy conditions. Here's a list of things you will need for cold conditions. And here is a short list of things you will need for sunny conditions. To prepare for rainy conditions, what you will need is a poncho, some cover for your shoes, and a monitor cover, the one as I showed you before. You could also get glasses, they help, but you can use any glasses you have at home. For winter, I would recommend just to dress up warm, to have always a scarf on your neck, to have some type of cover under your helmet. They're cheap on Amazon as well. Then gloves. Gloves are pretty important because it gets very cold on the hands. I'll show you mine. So yeah, these were pretty cheap on Amazon. Up until -5 degrees Celsius, they are fine. And then if you can, make sure that your jacket that you're wearing is wind resistant, because when you're driving 25 km/h, there is a lot of air coming into your chest. You better prepare for that. For sunny conditions, obviously sunscreen, some cover in your head, maybe sunglasses, that's fine. Now let's talk about the locks. So if you live in Singapore, you probably don't worry about it anyway. You can leave anything anywhere, no one will steal it. In Vienna, unfortunately, bikes get stolen very often, and an e-scooter is just like a target for those people to go after. I would not recommend locking your e-scooter outside. First of all, weather, like it might change drastically, and just leaving in the rain overnight is not good. Then the question comes, where do you attach the lock on your e-scooter? Some scooters don't really have a spot where you can attach them, it's not like a bike. My scooter does have like a little spot I could attach it to, so worst case I could do it, but I would still not recommend leaving a $500 scooter on the street. What I do, I just take it with me into the office, I fold it and carry it to my office spot, and luckily we have like a little area there I can put it on, and no one complained so far. And if I went through some rain or snow, I would just take 10 seconds, take a sponge and like clean it just quickly, like it doesn't need to be anything special, just so you don't leave a puddle on the floor. Okay, so we are done. If you want to watch more, check out my latest video here. Hopefully by the end of this video you have a better idea how an e-scooter can help you save time on commute, and you can maybe apply it to your life. If you did so, please leave a comment below. I'm very curious what options did you go for, and how much time is it saving you. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.